Okay, I gotta hit the elephant in the room, which is that when I had RJ on the pod, I had to address. I have to
Oh
address.
God. Oh God, what is it?
Okay, RJ, you are a firm the anime is better believer. It's just a broad.
Okay, I see.
Philosophy.
Oh.
Yeah.
What? Okay, I think you have somewhat of a point. So,
Okay.
what is your reasoning behind it overall?
Okay, so are we talking about anime in general or Chainsaw?
In general.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess I'm out myself. Anime is my medium of choice.
Go.
It's okay.
When it comes to consuming anime and manga, I read not that many manga. I read like I guess I think I'm reading like 10 manga now, and that's like on and off. And none of them have an anime. So that's kind of why. But I watch like over 100 anime a year. So I watch a lot more anime than I read. I don't know. I like the visual aspect of setting a scene, and just what the animation can do to elevate a source material in general, if done right, of course. Yeah. From like the music to the voice acting, to, you know, if you're an action anime, the fight sequences, if you're a romance anime, the background coloring, like there's a lot. Yeah, it's such a for me, it's such a visual thing to like it encompasses a world, really. It wraps me in, and I'm sitting here and I'm just watching a screen, but I just feel like it's like all around me in a point where I'm just like, yeah, this is peak. This is what I enjoy. Versus reading manga, I've never been a fan of reading in general.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Like, not in a bad way, but that does make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're gonna be reading manga, like you have to have a love for just reading in general, because you have to. Well, manga is different because it's not like just text; like you visualize it because you see it. But like, I mean, I get it. Animation is very, you know, so it's understandable.
It's multidimensional. I mean, I gotta say, Free Aaron anime is taking the source material to an entirely different galaxy.
Yeah, it's so good. Adaptation is good. It's good.
Seeing the comparisons they post on Twitter between the manga and what they did in the anime, I'm just like, oh, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. Like, this is my first time experiencing. Well, I read the first chapter of Frieren like years ago, and then I put it down because the anime was announced, and I was just like, well, you know.
Okay, dude, it's so good, manga though. Anyway.
And I was like, the first chapter was good, so I'm excited for the anime. You know, the first episode, I was like, all right, cool. And now what I'm getting now, I'm experiencing for the first time in anime form, and I'm just like, this is the way I want to experience this story for the first time. Like, this is
pretty great.
This is amazing. Like, and that's kind of why anime is my medium of choice. Like I said, I've never liked reading that much. I am the guy that grew up was like, no pictures. I'm not reading that.
Oh, that's funny.
It's kind of why I only read manga. Till this day, I still don't read like novels or anything. Like even light novels, they like read light novel. I'm just like, but it has an anime though. So
that's okay.
Yes, too.
But yeah, I guess that's why anime is my medium of choice. It's just it consumes me. It consumes me, and I can't put it down. And by the time I finish like a series, I'm like, oh, hours have passed, huh? Versus books, I'm just like, I'm still on page.
That's funny,
3 out of 150. Oh God.
No, that's how I am with manga, because I'm like reading and I'm like exactly that. I'll be reading and it's like 5 hours have passed and I'm on chapter like that happened with Dandadan. Like I just like straight read Dandadan for like hours. Like you forgot I was alive for a second.
That's gonna be the anime is gonna be tough.
That is a manga I also read.
Yes.
I also read that one. But like I said, most manga I read don't have an anime. Well, I'm counted on getting one, but I'm excited for that one. But it's most manga I read don't have an anime, so I also read that one. It's really fun. On top of that, that anime announcement with Science Saru, I was like, that's like the perfect studio. Like,
no, really, like it looks really good. I'm
like,
excited.
I hope they kill it. I hope they kill it.
So
I'm sure they will.
The thing is, though, I said this when Free Aaron anime was gonna air. I was like, this is gonna be incredible because, like, your manga is really interesting. The thing that I find interesting about manga is that there's so many ways to do it. Like animation, I wouldn't like. There's still a lot of different styles, but you know, you're animating, you make your keyframes, you gotta fill in the gaps. It is sort of like the same thing. Like the form is like locked in. You know what you gotta do to get the cuts done. Is sort of I mean, it's like a factory process, right? You can work it out, break it down like that. But every manga artist is just like, how am I gonna put these boxes on the page? What am I?
Yeah, like how are you gonna tell a story through illustration?
Okay.
Yeah. Everyone has a different approach, and the thing is, with Free Aaron, right? It was the original manga, like the execution aspects, the formal execution. It's good, but it's not like, big mind blowing stuff, compared to the anime, which is like peak animation. I mean, it's just incredible Sakuga efforts coming out every episode. So it's sort of this thing where like you see, oh, they took one panel and they stretched it out into all this stuff. Well, part of the reason they could do that was because in the manga, like this thing that could be long was just like one panel because he's not focused on like drawing out all the fights and that. He's focused on the other stuff. So I think you do often have that contrast where adaptations from source material, like Bocchi the Rock, right, for example. It's like a 4-panel gag manga. And the scenes, the concert scenes are like 1-2 page spread. Whereas, in the show, it's like, yes, we got a whole fucking band. Like,
they made a whole story off of that. It's insane.
Oh, yeah, and it's like, you have that when there's more room. When the manga isn't as good as a manga, there's sort of like more leeway. Not in terms of like the story, but just in terms of like when it's more basic, cut and dry in its visual execution, there's like more leeway for animators to be like, oh, we can do this and this and this. We can take this scene and do these things. We can turn.
I like how you brought up Bocchi the Rock because it's the same, and Freerin because they're by the same director. It's the same guy.
He knows how to pick up a source where
he knows how to pick up a source. Like he really does.
He can come in and be like, "This is a great story. We can take this to the next level, and we can fucking like just da." Whereas Chainsaw Man, whether this is a Chainsaw Man podcast, Chainsaw Man, I think was always going to be tough in terms of being adapted because the source material is at such like a high level in terms of the manga medium. Like what it's doing with the form is so like, I don't know. I could go on about it, but it's in just like a different universe than
I think the trouble with adapting Chainsaw Man is that Chainsaw Man, and I mean this as a compliment, is in its execution simplistic. And because it is simplistic, it is very much can be interpreted many different ways, right? By many different people. So when you adapt something that at its execution, I would say, is simplistic, then it's just like, well, how do I interpret this? And we're seeing that by the backlash of people who didn't really who wanted more who expected more out of the Chainsaw Man adaptation, still felt lackluster than what they read in the source material, right? You know, we got the whole gray palette debate, we got the whole CGI debate, you know, everything from that, and then, you know, with the Rize movie coming out, everyone's like, oh, did they change the colors? Is it going to be like a JJK situation? You know, what's the staff working on this? What's the directional change, right? Because there's so many different ways to interpret Chainsaw Man. Not the core themes of the story, but the execution of the story, because Fujimoto made it so simple, which it's brilliant in the manga, but it's like when you bring it to an animation director, they're just like, oh gosh, why did you do this? You made my life harder.
You kind of have to fill in the gaps, because Chainsaw Man as a manga is very like, it hits beats.
Right.
So like it's very easy to binge part 1 and like go through all of it, and like I see it because like even people like discussing it on like Twitter, Reddit, or whatever will like miss like a lot of points in the manga, just because like when you read it so fast, you just missed so much tiny details. And so it's like one thing that the anime did do was fill in the gaps. Like I really liked Aki's like whole sequence, like his morning routine. And like the little small moments I feel like we needed. But yeah, I completely agree. Like Chainsaw Man is difficult to adapt because it's simplistic, and I think it's purposeful, because I don't know if I remember Fujimoto like talking about like how his editor told him that he needed to like cut down on like how much he like drew, or like how he told his stories through the manga. I'm not super sure, but
the thing that he comes back to all the time is that he draws like he uses 16 pages to do what you know, in standard form should be like 8 pages, which is pretty correct. I mean, the thing that keeps Chainsaw Man moving is because it's so focused on cinematics. Like there's like no text on pages. There'll be chapters where you've got like, I don't know, 10, 15 words in the chapter. We had a couple of those lately.
Yeah, the normal life Denji chapter.
Yeah. Massage has like, you know, Denji's lines, and that's like a couple paragraphs of text. Like almost 20 pages in there, which is like, that's kind of crazy. It's again, I think that that ups the challenge, because you know, normally, again, like with Free Aaron, when you read it, it's very like manga reading. You know, you're going through panels, you go to the next panel, you go to the next panel. But Fujimoto has this like flow that he just does. I don't know what I'm trying to understand what he's doing, but he's just on one, making things string together into this cinematic sequence. And like, you know, you have to kind of match that experience with the cinematics if you're adapting it. It's a big ask, because already it's something so unusual to see. You're like, okay, what is this? How do I, you know, like, I have to do these visuals, you know. You have to do the con, and it has to look like that, right? Like, you can't really do anything with it too much from there, because it's so striking in an original. So I think that more or less sums it up. Well, that was my segue into Chainsaw Man, which we were talking about here. We're not talking about the anime. We're done talking about anime. It's over, because even though there is an anime and more anime coming soon, you are in fact current on the Chainsaw Man manga. Probably because
I am.
If you follow me and you aren't current on the Chainsaw Man manga, it's over for you. Like, you will be. You will be. When Tuesday comes around, you will be current. The Chainsaw Man manga, whether you like it or not.
Chainsaw Man was another series that I started before the anime came out. I was actually waiting for the Chainsaw Man anime because I, once again saw the manga and then the anime was announced, and I was like, I'm gonna wait for that anime. But then my mother bought me the first volume for, I think, my birthday or Christmas. I forget which one. And she was like, "You like manga? They were talking about how this one's popular. Here you go." And I was like,
Oh.
yeah.
What is
You
this?
know, I read the first volume and I was just like, well, now I got to get the second volume. That, since there, the collection is, I have all of them now.
If you hate reading, it is the manga for you, because
That's very true. Yeah.
you don't have to read shit.
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny.
So yeah, and I am a Chainsaw Man manga reader, and then just kept up with it. When I caught up after I caught up before part 2 started, and then when part 2 started, I was just like, why not?
It's gas.
Keep going.
Yeah. No, yes. We will get into that. We will be talking about the manga today. Back here on the Public Safety Special Broadcast, we are back again with another week. It was a break week, so we're having a special episode today where we will be switching gears a little bit to talk about Denji and Nayuta's relationship, just because I can't stop thinking about it after the last arc. It's just, I can't. I need help. So we're going to get into that. Before we do, we've been yapping so long, but let's go ahead and introduce ourselves now. I am, of course, your host, Secret Doves. Oh, yes. State your name, age, and the devil contract. Of course, I am Secret Doves, age 33. The devil contract is with the War Devil, obviously. RJ, go ahead.
Okay. I am RJ, age 26. I forgot my age for a second there. Devil contract. I guess, after the conversation, I guess I contract with the anime devil. It's
a fearsome devil.
It's been possessing me since childhood, Been with me since childhood.
I'm Meri. I'm 21, and my devil, I guess, the sleep devil, I think. Yeah.
That's a good one.
She's always whipping my ass.
A horrible, evil devil.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, today, okay. Nayuta and Denji's relationship. This one really caught me off guard after the last chapter, because I had not expected it to go in this direction. How did you guys feel about the last developments here? Because they really turned things on their head for the two of them.
What took me out was she knows. Like when she knows.
She knows, yeah.
I was just like, oh God, she knows. I guess that for me was the biggest reveal, is that Nayuta knows all about Makima and how she came to be. And we see her make a decision not to complete Makima's plan, not to go through Makima's plan again, I guess. And just live her life with Denji, which was very sweet. Also very heartbreaking via the circumstances of how we're finding all this stuff out. But yeah, it was like, I was like, oh, she knows. So like, she knew this entire time. So like, the dramatic irony is gone because it was never there in the first place. And like, it's like, so what now? Like, I guess it's even more endearing because it's like she did choose to live her life with Denji up to this point, even though she knew everything. And it was like, Fujimoto, why are you doing this to me? Even more heartbreaking.
Because that was the pressing question, right? Like, I remember like way before even when Nayuta got introduced, like the very first question was like, okay, does she know about Makima? And I
Yeah.
remember people were like discussing like if she knew because it's like I don't know, was Denji telling her these things? But yeah,
Yes.
like last chapter really surprised me, I guess, with the way Fujimoto finally decided to like press on Nayuta and her feelings. I mean, I knew it was going to happen eventually, but I didn't know that was the route he was going to take. I didn't know that's how it was going to go. So
It-
it was very much like nature versus nurture. So I don't know.
yes.
I was just oof.
Mm.
It was a really what like the arc up until that point was very there were lots of like dramatic things happening, but
Mm.
you didn't really it was sort of like what is this arc about, you know what I mean,
Yeah,
like is it just
yeah,
are we just being mean to Denji, is this just
yeah.
Denji arc, is that what this
He's
is?
just suffering for an arc. Yeah,
But you know, he got you. You know, he always comes in and he gets you with the thing, and you're like, oh no, like
he
what
does love
the
to do
hell?
that.
He does. He loves switched around on you. Um, and we got this whole recontextualization where it was just like it was about Denji and Nayuta this whole time. Like
Mm.
that's
Mm.
what the story was, you know, which should have been obvious, I guess, because
Mm.
that was like a big focus of the story
Mm.
for
Yeah.
the whole arc. But because there's all this like other stuff going on, like the church and Asamitaka and where is Yoru? Where the fuck is Yoru? Because there's all this other shit going on. It was sort of like, oh, this story is about this other stuff, and then Denji and Nayuta is like this cute thing. You know what I mean? People were like, oh,
Mm.
Nayuta's like, you know, your comic relief or something, or like
Mm.
the little nice moments that balance things out. And he was like, no, that was not. This is
No,
what it was. This is
he
what we
like
were
slapped
doing.
you with the narrative. He was
Yep.
like, no.
Wake
Yeah,
up.
I feel like he has been like switching them out, right? Asa and Denji, right? Because when part two started, right, for the longest time, everyone was just like, "Where is Denji?"
Yeah.
Remember those
Yeah,
first
everyone was like, "Where is
yeah.
like who falling in love with Asa and who was establishing Asa?" And, it was like, "Oh, she's great. Where is Denji?" Right? And then Denji came back, but he still like took a back burner. Asa was it was still told through Asa's perspective, right? And now it's like, where's Asa? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, like he's been missing for months. Again. So
so it's like, yeah, he's switching
Oh,
perspective, and I think if we're lucky, he's establishing the dynamic between my predictions. He's established the dynamic between Nayuta and Denji, because it's like Asa is kind of joining that trio. So it's just like we need the establishment of the duo
mm,
before we
yeah,
get the
I
trio, right? Um, and I
sure.
think that was kind of the last bingo card, right?
yeah.
It was like, you know,
Dubs, you're like giggling. Like what's going on?
Everyone who comes on the show is just like, no, it's 100% alive. Like, there's no question.
there's
You're
The death
all
flags.
crazy,
The death
dude. You're
flags.
all so ooh.
I don't know. It's just my prediction. It's
Let's go.
it is. It's my hopeful prediction. I would say,
Let's
because
go. I believe it's definitely alive.
No,
100%.
for sure.
100%. Definitely gonna live. Oh God! Don't do this to us. Toss.
There's been a lot of death flags for Noyuta, yeah, but
Yeah.
I just want to like bring up the point of like how like nuanced I think Denji and Nayuta's relationship is, because it's like one thing that I've always found like super duper interesting, right? Is that in part one, like Denji lives a relatively normal life. Like he's like a public safety hunter and like he lives with like power and Aki and he seems like content. Like he doesn't have that dissatisfaction that he has in part two when he's living with Nayuta. So it's like clearly like he struggles just living with Nayuta, like living that life and obviously it's because he can't be Chainsaw Man and like he has to sacrifice like a big part of his identity in order to protect Nayuta and stuff like that. So it's like I remember I was having a discussion with a friend about like how um even though Nayuta and Denji have like a seemingly good relationship, like under the surface, like at the end of the day, Nayuta was still sort of pushed onto Denji. Like he didn't
Yeah.
really have a choice in the matter of, oh, like do like he had to take care of her. Like she basically was like deadbeat dad, just like dropped her on the doorstep and was like bye, and has never appeared again. So it's like their relationship is super interesting because it's like Denji has to take care of her. It's not
Yeah.
like he has a choice, but he still loves her. But there's an underlying understanding of like I can't do a lot of things because she's in my life. So I just think that's an interesting point. Or I think it's interesting how Fujimoto writes like the underlying like I don't know, like
I mean,
there's more to the relationship than just them being like little sister and bigger brother.
This is
yeah.
Fujimoto's take on parenthood. Is what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
yeah. I could say.
It's an interesting one. It's does it end up as like a parent child relationship? I think it ends up hitting that like, you know, siblings who
Yeah.
lost their parents vibe, you know what I mean? Just because
Mm.
I don't know if Denji's a parent, goddamn, he's like not doing so good.
He's not doing too hot.
If he's the older brother, it's like, all right, man, like, you know, this shouldn't be on you. But if he's supposed to be your dad, it's like, dude, you got a shit, dad. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, it was, I mean, God, once again, that, the old me, that's the title of the chapter. Oof.
That smacked me. Oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
could not. Like her talking about Makima just oof.
The moment though where then she's like you know, there's no way you could have a family, right? it
Mhm.
it to himself in his dream is like it's this it's kind of like sobering moment with their relationship because, you know, both of them, and we learned, like, understand what the relationship actually is. And then there's like this, you know, it's like this insane thing where like she's a devil and her old self did all this horrible shit, and you know, she's taking care of her mostly to stop various organizations from like trying to uh take her powers and use her as a tool. And you know, like this, it's a really, the core of it is like, or what I said, the origins of it are like really messed up and don't make sense, but then they both like, they turn it into this familiar relationship
Mhm.
by interacting with each other. But you know how it's sort of like, usually thus far Denji's like coping mechanisms with his life, we've only had them sort of exposed in one moment, right? That final moments with Makima, she like digs in and she's like, you're
Mhm.
fucking, you're lying to yourself, you know, this
Mm.
is what really happened, this is how it really is. And this time we're getting that from himself. This time he's like, you know, he's looking at himself, he's like, this was not a real family, dude, like that's not actually your sister. Ooh, you know,
Yeah.
that kind of tough stuff coming through in the relationship is very interesting to me, because like I definitely did not expect that development to come from Denji, like from within himself, you know.
Yeah,
For,
I was kind of waiting to see how he would internalize it because like Makima haunts the narrative always, and Denji is a victim like
Mhm.
of trauma, you know. So I knew that he internalized it in some sense, especially like during the falling devil attack, like when she like made him remember like Aki and power and he like cut up his head. He was like, "Oh no, no." Like I know he internalizes all of that somehow. So this development, I was like, "Whoa, shit."
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. What has happened to him? Uh, it was man, it was very you know, uh, the fact that his concept of normal life too was so wrapped up in having a family, you know, that's fucking devastating because the his like dream is like to live a normal life, right? But
Mhm.
the parameters of what that entails are like that's what we see play out with the character. It's like it starts, he wants some toast, you know, and then he's like adding more things on that that he believes contribute to normal life that make him like a normal person.
Yeah. I feel like
And
it comes from. Oh, go ahead. Go
okay,
ahead. Okay. For me, it feels like it's like Denji is saying something but wanting a different thing. Like he says he wants a normal life, right? But what Denji really wants, from my perspective, from the start of the series, is he just wants to be loved. Like
Yes, yes.
Denji just wants to really be loved, and that's why he's like such like this entire arc. It was like such a difficult time for him to see Chainsaw Man so loved, and he was like, "That's me, like, that's me, guys, that's me." And it's
oh man,
now. I feel like it's been Denji debunking himself in a way, um, in a much more cruel way than he should, right? Because it's
that's pretty
a self
honest.
reflection, right?
Fucking piece of
Yeah,
shit.
it's much more cruel way than he should. Right, he's being a little too harsh on himself via his circumstances.
Right.
Um, but it's a way of debunking himself because it's just like it's like he's like, oh well, me and Naruto are like this normal family. We walk the dogs, we go out, we have eat, and it's just like you're not, but like
Yeah.
no,
Like that's
like
not.
like no, you're not. She's a reincarnation of the woman you ate, like quite
Yeah,
literally.
quite
Like,
literally, yeah.
like
Pretty
it's it's
normal vibe.
it's not a normal family, and I think that's what from my perspective is this like very harsh self reflection of himself, kind of debunking that his life is not normal and that he doesn't want a normal life. That's not what he wants. In a sense, he thinks that a normal life will get him what he wants, and that's kind of his whole like mental struggle with this is because it's like you're not normal, Denji. You'll never be normal. Like it's not a
Yeah,
thing.
it's. I mean, it is kind of not a thing overall, but also
Yeah.
definitely not a thing when you are Chainsaw Man. And
Or the
or
question of like what is normal, like
Yeah, what is
like
normal?
what
I think it's
what is normal, like what are we getting? I mean, we normal in the Chainsaw Man world is like devils exist. That's normal.
yeah, like you just walk around the street and get like absolutely like slaughtered by like the cockroach devil. Like
Yeah, it's like
maybe
for
we don't
sure.
need to worry about that so much.
okay, yeah, it's like what is normal? It's like I feel like that's for me. It's one of the brilliance of the series. Like what is normal because then it gives Fujimoto the chance to include what we would consider normal into the manga, and it's like one of the most hypest moments. If you ask me, it's just like Denji being able to go to the movies. Like to us, that's
Yes.
incredible. Right? But in the real world, it's like he went to the movies, whatever. In Chainsaw Man, it's just like he went to the movie. Like,
Yeah.
If there's an Asaden movie date, it's over for us. Like
Oh my god, it'd be
yeah,
over for me. It'd be
GG's,
over.
we're locked up. Like, it's over.
Oh god.
Fandom's
Back it
finished.
up, back it up.
I mean, I feel
But
like that's one of the cards he laid down on the
Or
table.
the aquarium, I should say. Yeah.
Marathon.
They went to the aquarium. There you go.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
interesting because there's a sense of normalcy, like
Yes.
within part two, like literally like you said, like the aquarium scene, like Asa and Denji are just going on a date and Denji's like completely content, like the because like like there's the ongoing gag that like Denji in part two, like he's just a mouth breather, like he has like the same three facial expressions, like he just emotes,
Yeah.
but it's like the only two times that I've relatively seen Denji like happy and smiley as he was in part one was one when he was with Asa in the aquarium, and two when he got to see Nayuta again after they had been separated for a brief moment. So it's like there's aspects of normalcy within Chainsaw Man, but it's like it never gets fully fulfilled because there's always something that's getting in the way. So it's like yeah, I don't know where I was going with that thought, but
I just that was those Fujimoto God moment thing. The way, dude, this guy,
this dude,
want to live your normal life, but
he includes that.
Includes
those normal aspects in this non-normal world, and then rips it away from you, and you're just like, why? Like I don't know. Like the panel where Asa was like, I forget exactly what she said, but she was like, what do you want from me? And Denji was like, oh, let's go on a second date.
Oh my gosh.
I was just like, that's not happening, is it? Why are you doing this to me? This is not happening, is it? That's not happening.
Insert Nayuta. And that was actually super interesting too. Like, because we're on the topic of like Nayuta and Denji's relationship. Like, I remember when that chapter came out where Asa was like at that second date with Denji, Nayuta comes in or whatever. Because we don't really like see much of Nayuta. It's just Denji being like, oh yeah, my crazy little sister. And then we see Nayuta come in and she has like the chains on her waist, like reminiscent of like Makima, and she like immediately turns Asa like into a dog. Like, it was a very interesting way of introducing Nayuta after we hadn't seen her for so long. And it's even interesting now because it's like, I don't know if we should interpret that as Nayuta being possessive of her brother, or is that just because she's the control devil and she was just threatened? Like, I don't really know.
Well, yeah, a little bit of both. A little 6 of one, half dozen the other. Do the do it that way. I mean, that was because okay. Now you think about it, like, damn, that's like so crazy because Nayuta knew about the fact that she was Makima.
Insane.
The control devil existed, and here she comes in, and there's another, horse sister in the vicinity in the building, and
I was about to say, I was like, technically, doesn't she know that? That's her sister.
Yeah, that's her sister.
That's her sister.
She and she met with Fami after that as well. So it's like that's like identity crisis that Nayuta was going through. That we saw in that last chapter of like, who am I? Why am I doing this? God,
just very Rei Ayanami. But like, yes. I'll say less about that. But regardless, I just want to know, like, does Nayuta purposely withhold information from Denji to like protect him or something? Because it's like, I've been questioning this since the beginning of Falling Devil. But like, now that we know that Nayuta knows that she's Makima, and also we know that Nayuta knows that Asa is the War Devil. I'm pretty sure they said it when she was talking to Fami. No, like, does she not? Did she tell Denji that? Is she gonna tell Denji that? Is she gonna tell Denji like, yeah, the girl that you have a crush on is a devil? Or does Denji already know?
Before. She did not.
Yeah, she hasn't. So it's like
she could have. She could have in that moment. In
the switch, we thought Denji was holding information from Nayuta, but it was the other way around all along.
Yeah, the entire time.
The entire time.
Denji can't catch a break. I swear to God, this is Fujimoto. I'm breaking you out of there, Denji.
And like, also, does Denji know that Nayuta knows, or did I don't know. I don't remember correctly. Does Denji know that Nayuta knows that she was Makima?
I don't think so.
I don't think he does. No.
Interesting.
I mean, he would now that like all the stuff with Barem has gone down, but obviously they haven't really gotten any time to talk it out. Will
Yeah,
they
to
get any
press.
time to talk it out? Please, God,
Oh my
don't.
god, please.
Please do not do this,
They
Tatsuki.
ended off on a pretty bad note. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, yeah, it ended off on oh God. Please just it doesn't you don't have to do Devilman. All right. Devilman exists. Fujimoto, if you're listening, I know you tune in every week. We already
Listening in.
have there's already like 3 Devilmans, I think. 3 versions of Devilman. Come on, dude. Like you don't have to do this.
He's gonna do it. He's gonna do it. Probably. I don't know.
No. Shut up. He's not gonna do it. Oh God. It could totally happen.
I mean, well, let's look at the track record.
Yeah,
Do it.
that's just
He's gonna do
I
it.
mean, it would be insanely fucked up if after this whole chapter of like Denji being like, "Ah, I don't deserve a family because I killed them," or like, and then him brushing Nayuta off and like telling her like, "Oh, you don't need me, like stay away from me." Like, it would be fucked up if he just killed Nayuta after that, because then that just reaffirms Denji's trauma again. You know,
Yeah, it would, wouldn't it?
like please, on my hands and knees.
You're
Hands and
right. That
knees.
would be bad.
Do that, wouldn't it? That would be crazy.
I
Oh
mean,
God.
my hopes are not high. I mean, like I said, look at his track record.
Yeah.
Reading part 1, I'm just like, no, he's not. He's not. Oh no, he did. Oh
Yeah.
no, he did it again.
Yeah.
Oh
This
I
is
no.
mean, at least in some sense, like Denji carried out what it is that Makima, quote unquote, wanted. Like she wanted a family, right? She wanted to be
yeah.
loved, and that's what Vegeta told Denji. He was like, you know, with Nayuta, like be sure to give her lots of hugs, and he did that, and we see how that, you know, affected Nayuta. Like, I don't know how to say that, but like, you know, she could have taken the path of just choosing to abuse and manipulate Denji, and to be her former self. But like, you know, through Denji's affection and teachings and learning and guidance and all of this and that, like she chose not to. So, in a way, like he technically like fulfilled what she wanted.
Oh, he did.
Um, yeah, he did. It's kind of like Aki's arc, you know, how he like was fulfilled in like having a family again after like losing his younger brother,
Mhm.
and like his whole thing was that he was so concentrated on revenge that he just lost himself. But then, you know, he found Denji, he found power, and then he died in a tragic way. But like, you know, he had his good ending, somewhat, with his family. Like, I don't know to say if that's the same for Nayuta. If it happens, then oh shit. But at
Yeah.
least there's that. Just to give us some good grace, you know.
Well, that's my concern is that, that we have all that, right? Like, in the end, we got everything you need for the Control Devil, right? Like, her arc, if it ended here, that would not be, that could definitely be a satisfying overall narrative and fit into the larger story in a meaningful way. Especially
True.
having Barem be the one who, gets his evil revenge, and then he's this shit guy who, like, God damn it, it's so good, but fuck, just don't do it, dude. That's my problem. Is that it actually would be kind of good, and it could be really fucking sick, and the story
I
could
really
go
want to
very
see.
directions from
I
there.
really want to see how she's gonna get herself out the situation, like Nayuta.
I would like that as well. I think it. Oh, man, I. I can't have any faith in Tashi Fujimoto keeping a character alive just because they're interesting and cool. But I do think it, it would add on to uh, the the themes that he's been building around the character to have some sort of further development in their relationship. And also, there's the fact that, like, it didn't seem like Fami wanted her dead, although, that was before the offer was rescinded. So who knows? Who knows what will happen with that? I have no fucking clue. I'm so terrified. But the other thing I wanted to talk about with their relationship was you hinted at it, Mary, is that it's been sort of like the whole time tied into Asa and Denji's connection. I guess RJ, that hooks into your trio theory. We're gonna get it in. We're gonna have Asa and Denji and Nayuta all together. Maybe, perhaps.
Fujimo doesn't rip the rug underneath my heart. Yeah, sure. We're gonna get it.
Well, okay. Straight up, where do you think we go from here? Like with this, like, because I have a suspicion that we will not come back to Denji and Nayuta for a while.
I agree. Yeah.
We're gonna be hanging out with this what, like the guillotine hanging over our head.
Yeah, because Fujimoto has this thing where like he'll hit like a plot point, and then he just won't address it. Like it's been like what, months since we saw like Asa Yoru fighting Yoshida. Like what happened to that? I don't know.
Yeah.
But we're probably gonna switch paths, yeah, and it's gonna focus on maybe Asa and Yoru, and maybe they'll come into contact with Nayuta, because right now like she's kind of in a corner. Like I don't really know where that's gonna go. Where is that fight gonna go? And also Barham's a hot mess right now. Like,
True. Oh man, Barem. Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about like Barem's whole thing with Nayuta as well.
It's very interesting because like I like Barham, and I've always liked Barham. I think he's like an interesting antagonist because there's like a lack of things. There's like a lack of reason for the things that he does, and I think I explained that like last podcast briefly. But his like admiration for Makima and like his love for Makima, like that unrequited like feelings, like he knows that Nayuta's a control devil. And that's like him looking at like the shell of like his past like love or something like that. Like the way he projects onto Nayuta is very interesting. I don't know, I can't fully dissect it, but there is like a weird projection that he has of her. And then like at the end, like in the recent chapter when he freaks out and he's like, she's a control devil, like blah blah blah. Like it's just very interesting. I don't know.
He feels like to me the embodiment of all the toxic Makima fans.
Yeah.
It's like Fujimoto like scrolled through a forum and was just like,
Yeah.
We all know that like him and Lin are just, they're locked in. Like it's on the record. What is it? Lin was liking some untagged Yoshiden art at some point.
He was
absolutely doing it. He was just like,
yeah. Good for him.
They know what we're saying, they're fucking around. I find it very interesting with Barem and Nayuta though, is that Barem is clearly of the it didn't seem like the hybrids as a whole knew who Makima was or who Nayuta was, right? Or like, Meri doesn't give a shit about Nayuta, It didn't seem like Whip hybrid, like she didn't give a shit about anything. So this is just like personal beef with Barem, and he knows that Makima became Nayuta, and because of that, Barem hates her. So Barem hates Nayuta because she was Makima, but Denji loves Nayuta because she was Makima. right?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
Pochita, implored him to be like, "Look, you gotta change the future. You gotta save the world with hugs, Denji."
The power of friendship.
True, the power of hugs. God damn, I hate this guy. And that contrast was really interesting. Man, more of all every single episode of the podcast lately has been me coping that Nayuta must survive. But that is like an aspect of Denji and Burem's um, opposition that I
Mm.
really want to see more. So I hope that like Nayuta, uh, I hope that Nayuta stays around just so we can uh, get more of that. Right? I mean, there's so much
Mm.
more to get from the character at this point, especially now that there's like all this stuff revealed. Like we want to see how it falls out between the two of them, right?
Mhm.
Mm.
Of course, that's the perfect time to rip it all away when
Yeah.
everyone wants more, you know.
It's
I would
just
kind of. Oh, my bad. Go on.
I was gonna say, I was like, it's just for me, it was annoying, Nayuta trying to get away, and every single time would do something, and I was like, oh my god, this guy's dead yet? What is going on?
Yeah, for sure.
I was like, oh my goodness. But I see the dynamic of just the parallels between the different loves from Makima and how basically Makima has made this entire story go round. Basically, um,
Really?
like,
Yeah. Like
but
she still continues to haunt the narrative, which is what I said earlier.
yeah,
I love when stories do that when there's a character that like lingers even after they're gone. I was just gonna pivot randomly and
Mhm.
say that like if there's anything that I want like moving forward, I think it would be interesting if Asa and Yoru got to interact more with Nayuta because it's like they are sisters in a sense, and Makima said something in part one that like kind of intrigued me when she was talking about her sisters. She was like saying that she like wanted them gone or something like that.
Right.
And it's like I've never fully understood like do they have beef? Like do they just not like each other? Because Fami seems to have some type of affection for her sisters, and like that's been debated. Like she knows about Yoru and she feels some type of way about Yoru. She saved Asa essentially at one point,
Right.
and they're in cahoots. But it's like Fami's just weird, and like Yoru just writes her off as weird. And then like Nayuta talks to Fami, and then Nayuta knows about Yoru, but it's like, do they actually like have an established relationship? Did they have a relationship? Like, why is it that Makima wanted them
Yeah.
gone? So I want to see that
Mhm.
explored at least,
Yes.
or to see like if Yoru will be some type of like older sister figure to Nayuta, or I don't know, or maybe like if they'll come to an understanding about Denji that way. I don't know.
It would be interesting. You could have, because like I feel like Asa and Yoru, they can't be too happy with the church and family at this point, right? Like they're probably
Yeah.
like, the fuck is wrong with these guys? Although I don't know, yours pretty hyped up. Who
Oh, for
knows?
sure. She's
Yours,
like at her peak right now, isn't she?
yeah, and she's evil, so it could go either way. Maybe she'll just be like, "It's all good in the end."
Who knows? Who knows?
Never mind. But it would be interesting to see. You have like famine and death on one side, and then war and control on the other side.
Yeah.
Coming in. Coming into the apocalypse. I mean, this is all leading up to an apocalypse. So,
I
as
mean,
I've said,
yeah,
everything, like anything goes for the story because that is the end point, right? You can't, like, nothing's off the table here because the world's going to end and it seems like inevitable.
Yeah, like it's a slow hurdle towards like doom, essentially. And I think it's interesting that Fujimoto chose to separate Denji and Nayuta now. I wonder if they'll come back together. I don't know, but
Please. Please, we need that.
If Fujimoto makes Denji hit an Aki, like in the, you know, when Aki like wakes up in the hospital and he like crouches over
yeah,
himself, like
Mhm.
thinking
right.
about like if
Thinking about
he does a parallel, because that's another thing that I kind of wanted to bring up with Denji and Nayuta's relationship, like how Denji wasn't raised by any parent. Like he was raised
yeah,
by like his deadbeat dad, and then he killed his dad. And we know about that, right? But he wasn't technically raised by like a set of parents. So like he doesn't
yeah,
have a point of reference about like what it is to have a parental figure or like, you know, how it is to be in that position. And so it's like the way Denji treats Nayuta, I think he learned that from Aki. Like he learned how to
yeah,
love through Aki, and I see a lot
yeah.
of parallels between them and how like willing they are to like sacrifice like parts and aspects of themselves in order to like protect who they love. Like I could go on about Aki and Denji for hours, but I do
It
see
is very apparent.
yeah. I do see how that carried on, like how Denji knows how to like take care of himself and like cook around. Like he offers to like cook dinner for like I mean obviously for Nayuta she has to eat, but it's just interesting. And also another thing too that's like really a really small detail, but I think it's really fascinating. The plants in Denji Nayuta's apartment, like how Denji's plant is like thriving and like lush and like full or whatever, and then like Nayuta's is like withered. Like I think that's a really interesting detail. But there's a lot of things like if you look in the background of like their apartment, like the fart chart, the parent teacher conference letter, like oh my gosh,
Dude,
there's
the
just so
parent
much.
teacher conference, I can't believe people talk about. I can't believe we skipped over Asa battling demons. I'm like, dude, I can't believe we skipped over Denji parent teacher conference. That would have
Right? How
like,
did we skip over that?
damn, that would have that's some crazy content. He's leaving all sorts of stuff on the cutting room floor in part two. He's demonic this time. He's got a direction he's headed, and uh, you know, he's everything else is gonna be sprinkled here and there.
Mm.
Oh, about the plants in the apartment. Someone seen this comment a few different times, but those are succulent plants, which means
Mm.
that Denji uh, Denji probably forgot about the plants, which is great for succulents because they like dry environments. And then
Yeah, they
Nayuta,
don't need a lot of attention. Yeah.
yeah, Nayuta overwatered it because she was like, "I'm gonna water my plant every day." And
And it's cute how he just lets her be a kid. Like the stickers on the
yes,
stickers on the door, and then like the like drawings and like puzzle pieces like on the floor of the apartment. I don't know why, but like it really like hit me in the heart when I saw Nayuta's drawing of Meowie. Like I don't know why I like almost shed a tear like looking at that. Do you know what I'm
yeah,
talking about?
yeah. Fujimoto has this way of really hitting, like, I mean, that's where his realism shines, which he
Mm.
is just so proficient at. Even though he does do these like fantasy stories. I mean, you guys were talking about it. Like he puts normal stuff in this world that should be, by all means, like not very normal at all. Like I don't know,
Yeah, yeah.
the whole devil thing is very
Mhm.
interesting to me. He's been doing more world building in part two. Like there's more of a sense of what the society is like, but he
Mhm.
still
Mm.
holds back from like a full scale, in this year the devils attacked and the portals to hell opened and this happened with governments and there was this war and that. Like he doesn't go through that. He leaves it as like this vague, pretty much real Tokyo, pretty much IRL Tokyo, except with crazier architecture and more devils. Like he doesn't, you know, we don't see
Mm.
the like how there's no question of like how would society actually be if there were devils. He's like,
It's
We're
just yeah.
they're just here. It's like the real world, but there's also devils, and don't worry about the fact that that wouldn't be that way, you know?
I think the main point is like everything is like fucked up and evil, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
I think the point, like since part one, or like the consistent theme is like everything around the characters in Chainsaw Man like is not like they live like in this crazy like corrupt city where like devils run amok and like devils are like plaguing society and people die every day and there's these horrible things, but it's like the story is kind of set afloat through like the characters and the relationships that they have with each other, which is
Yes.
kind of what I think yeah, like that's always been a thing. And like especially that with Denji and Nayuta's relationship, because it's kind of like, you know how RJ said, I think, about how they're not a normal family. Like Denji's like taking care of like the reincarnation of like the woman that abused him. Like he ate her, and out of that Nayuta was technically born. Like that's not normal, as much as they want to act like it is, but like there's a sense of normalcy through just their relationship with each other. Like if you just boil it down, like yeah, he's just taking care of her. Like he sees her as a little sister. She's a kid, and that keeps their situation somewhat afloat. And that's been the case for like a lot of characters within Chainsaw Man. Like everything around them is like slowly crumbling down, and like like the world is about to end.
Yes.
But these characters, they have relationships with each other, and I
Just
don't know.
day
It's an
to day.
interesting message.
I
I
might
think
have school tomorrow. Yeah.
for me, going back to what Mary said about like the parallels with Aki, I really find fascinating about how it's interesting how Fujimoto writes how Denji changes people, because Naita went through a similar thing with Aki, that Aki did with her relationship with Denji, right? We see in this chapter that she realized she was Makima. She was like, I'm supposed to fill this man up with happiness and then take it away. And then the next shot, we see her being happy with Denji, and she didn't take it away, like because
Yeah.
she realized that, oh no, I'm actually the one being filled with happiness right now, and it's the same thing with Aki, where Aki was like, I'm supposed to take care of this guy. I mean, literally the second scene of Aki and Denji together, Aki punches Denji in the face and tells him to go away. But and then by the end, it's just like he takes care of Denji, and it's just like it's this parallel of how Denji is. So he changes people in a way.
Yeah.
And I thought that was very sweet with their relationship, that we see how she is also going back to what Dove said, right? The parallels between her and Makima, that she is like she's not Makima. And it's just like Makima would have taken it away, and Nayuta did not. And it was like, in fact, Nayuta played into it even more, to the point where she was fine. She was happy. She was content.
That's right. That's why she's live. She's gotta live.
She's got to live.
She will live. She will be alive. She's
She'll be
gonna be
okay.
fine. Kishibe is gonna save her.
Yeah, if he ever comes back. I've been waiting.
I know.
Trust me. Trust me.
Kishibe like, I will have to tap and Meri, but it has not happened yet. It won't happen until we get the flashback to that scene where he shows up and saves her. He actually fucking, honestly, that's my biggest argument for Nayuta being alive, because if the whole situation with Denji and Nayuta went all this way and completely went to shit, and then Nayuta died, it's like,
What would be the
dude,
point? What would be the point?
where were you, bro?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I still feel like, not even to like make this into Kishibe talk, but like I'm just really trying to figure out, like, because I know for a fact that he has a huge part to deal with like what's going on right now, because he's just been mysteriously missing, off
Yeah.
doing things. Like he's a pretty important character, and I think something that Fujimoto does a lot is that he like backlogs characters that have like a really important purpose, or like
Right.
play a really important role. So
Now
like
we're
I know
gonna
that
get
he's gonna come back. Yeah, I just eventually, but I wonder if Nayuta will recognize Kishibe when he does come back.
I just think, like, if he does not save Nayuta in this moment, it's like, dude, you're just a bum.
It's over.
Like
Let it go. It's over.
Broad watch and bum watch and deadbeat watch. It's over for you.
Bum watch is crazy, but true. True.
Like what were this was your
What
thing.
were you doing?
Kid on Denji. That was your shit. And then she's dead now. So like, good job, bro. Like it's
You had
you
you had one job. That
One
just
job.
was.
because and it's a weird thing because it's not like devils like die. So like even if Nayuta dies, like control devils,
She's still just gonna come back.
the
Yeah.
control is just gonna pop up again somewhere. So then what? Also, then Kishibe's whole thing was just a waste, just pointless.
I wonder
It's
if he's like trying to find the Death Devil, or if she was. Yeah, I wonder if that's his thing, because there's this whole thing of like, the Death Devil is gonna come down and blah blah blah. Like we know it's gonna be one of the sisters. Is he trying to find her before everything goes to shit? Like he found
Yoshida
Nayuta,
did ask if Denji would eat the Death Devil.
the Death Devil. Yeah, which was really interesting. I still think about that. I still think about that.
Maybe you're right. Maybe Kishibe has been on the hunt for the Death Devil. I mean, there's a few different characters out and about that are available to save Nayuta. Not Fumiko.
Not maybe Conchi, maybe the Nail Fiend that we saw once and then never again. Maybe.
Yeah. What was with that character with?
I have no
I'm
clue.
sure we'll find out. Like, who knows what the fuck is gonna... Who knows what the hell is gonna go on? We will find out very soon what the hell is going on. We got a new chapter coming up in a couple of days. It's very terrifying. We will be back here to discuss it. I want to thank both of my guests for coming on the show. Thank you both for coming. This was a great discussion. There's plenty more to discuss. We're around an hour here, so we'll call it there. Thank you, everyone who listened. Like, subscribe, comment, hit all that stuff. Flame us, complain about us. Be like, you guys are stupid. Everything says dumb. This is why you're wrong. Type all that out. I will read it and then I will delete it. Thank you.
I will delete it. But it will be read.
Yes, but thank you for listening all the way to the end and proposing those thoughts. We will see you next time for chapter discussion. I don't feel so good. I'm so scared. Thank you, everyone, again, and goodbye.